Oh, you got a mask on. Who are you? When no one's looking. I came to unmask you this morning. Because our Father sees the condition of your heart. You are in the DNA design of our Father. So why have you allowed the power of the temple of God to be mutated to reflect the devil's table? I came to unmask you this morning. This is not a joke. When you die, your body's going to go back to the ground. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But that spirit that was given to you by our Father on the day of salvation, you are going to stand accountable for the way you nurtured the Spirit of the living God. He rules, He reigns from the depths of your heart. The heartbeat of Abba Daddy is beating on the inside of you and I to reflect that you are not an orphan. If you're an orphan, you continue to sit at the table. You'll be complacent. You constantly sleep around. You constantly drink. And before you know it, then you're calling us. Oh, I did this morning. Who are you sleeping with? Porn, you masturbating. Who are you sleeping with? Those are your shit. It's a lady. Put your lady in. It's a man and a lady. Who are you sleeping with? Woman, your sex organ is a gateway. Men, your male reproductive organ is a seed. When you go and lay with a woman without marriage, you're allowing a contaminated seed to enter those gateways. Woman, you need to renounce some things, because what have you allowed to enter your gateways? And you wonder why your heart is in this condition. You wonder why this is who you are when we're forcing you to come to church. Why should we force you to come to church? Why is it such a problem? Why is it that the fear of the Lord is gone out of the house of God? Why? Because you think you're going to live forever. You are so wrong. Preached 3 weeks about the locust. Javier was watching the news and he called me and said, come here, crying. I thought something happened to you. Because he can't stay without me. Every minute, bam. I'm away. Hey, someone run away, my nana. No, sorry. No, don't worry, we'll run away. Ladies. Come on, we need a culture.
Let's run away.
No, sir. You know that song, Rani? You know that song? Rani. We have daddy. We have bride that loves us this morning. I won't just allow my daughter to just date any other man because she's beautiful. You see the mistakes her mom made, I won't allow her to repeat those mistakes. And me telling her, hey, watch out. Does not mean I'm a bad mother. It does not mean I'm a witch. You children, you need to wake up. Because you are contaminating our houses and doing the things because of your choices. When you go against your mother and your father, let me tell you something. You are touching the heartbeat of our Father. You better stop. If you think these men and women are calling you like me, imagine, I know what children, I really feel for the kids, because I also grew up in a home where my parents were ministers. But please don't make the mistakes we did. We're saving you from death. You see, we that are seated here, we want to give God ever all the glory. We're alive. You might not make it. You saw the child on Facebook, young boy from Toti. My friends, one of my friend colleagues, my friends on the PJ Logs, sent me a message. Pastor Pian, she's a Hindu. She said, pray. They found the child there. Young boy. You might walk out the door tonight thinking that you got 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years to love. But tonight might be your final night on earth because someone is waiting out there to cut your life short. And guess what? You handing your life on a platter and you're serving yourself to the devil. It's sad. I wept last night. I was so broken in my spirit to see a young, handsome man taken away. The next generation. The next generation that could have been an apostle or prophet to bring alignment in the house of God. To set the alignment straight on the earth. That could have been the next leader that we were praying for to enter government, to bring order and take our corruption out of the land. That child that was raped, that innocent children that are found daily, 6 years, 4 years in Cape Town, that are raped and killed daily. Young baby girls. Are you sleeping? Do you think that it will never happen to you or your child? In a tribulation period, it's not going to get better. Eh? Only the righteous are going to flourish. Those who are like a palm tree that are seated at the table with Abba is going to flourish. Those who are seated here, young men and women, I'm going to tell you, stop playing games. Because of our prayer, you're standing alive. This morning, I'm going to tell you, as I was coming here, I was weeping in the van. Abba began to show me. And 2 years ago, Mikhail was walking from my mom's house to come and see me. By the way, this is my son. And he had befriended a child that was a DJ, top DJ, young man, 19 years old. And they came from a Hindu background. And my son was just walking to come and visit me. And then suddenly he saw this boy with a beer bottle in his hand, drinking, walking on the road and screaming and rapping, making noise like a young boy does. But all alone, suddenly 2 guys were walking in front of him. And let me tell you what happened. My son was ministering to this child all in quiet, befriended him when no other boy could befriend him. As Mikhail is walking on this side of the road, this child is on this side. 2 men are coming, and by the road is so small, it's like this path here, it's very small. It's a small road in Yemen. And as Mikhail is walking, my son is walking, this child is here, he's walking, and Mikhail is walking right in front of him, right next to him, right in the side. You see 2 guys. One was a father, he was over 30 years old, a colored man, and one was an Indian guy, was his friend that grew up in front of us in the flats. So this boy was drunk, and when you're drunk now, you talk about nonsense. So he's only rapping and swearing and rapping, So these 2 guys were also drunk. Something triggered called the demonic table of influence. Because they all were there sitting at the table of death. So the Indian guy said, hey, you want to let that go? 19 years old boy, child, my son's age, walking on the side, never knew that on that day for his rapping and his bottle, he's going to die. Right in front of my son, they pulled out a dagger that is so huge. All my son saw, when this child, they went in and they said, hey, what can you? And this young Indian boy said, let that brat talk like this. Come on, man, bust him up. Finish the road, finish. He was motivating the incident. And he took out the dagger in front of my son. All the boy did is he turned around to say, I'm so sorry I was rapping. He took the dagger in front of my son, pushed it into the child's chest, and ripped him open. All my son saw is a rib cage opened. No one knew what my child had gone through at that moment. But because I instilled the presence of God in him, there was no fear. His ultimate aim was to save the child's life. He never bothered about the two men that were saying, hey, he's a witness, take him out. What the mothers on the knee, no one can touch your children. And I tell you today, no one can touch your children. Our children will go away with their choices. But I want to tell you, mothers, no one will touch your children if you're on your knees. Because let me tell you something, as they're plotting, as they say, my son took off his shirt. And he had formal, because he was going, we were going to take him for a service. He was getting ready to come with us for a service. I was going out to minister. And he had a formal shoe on. And he was, the boy said, he's screaming. My son is screaming in the road. Not one individual. My son is screaming. No one is coming out. Only one old uncle can't even walk. He says, my son took out his shirt and he pushed back the lip back in him, and he's holding, putting pressure onto the heart. But the knife, the daddy is already in the heart. Right in the heart. Every artery is now burst open. Every chamber is now burst open. The amount of blood is shooting like a fountain on my child. And my child says, just hold on. He started praying in tongues. He says, hold on. I don't even imagine the trauma. I don't even imagine the trauma. Have you been there? Have you been there? But you're still taking God for granted. You walked out of a situation where He saved your life. You're sitting there alive. But are you taking God for granted? You see, my son began to run because the words of this child was, Mikhail, go, call my mother. I need to see my mother. Please, go call my mother. My son said, Uncle, hold pressure on this child. My son ran like lightning. He said, Mommy, I didn't know what to say to the mother. He ran, jumped over the gate, grabbed the mother, no shoes. She said, the mother saw the blood. She started running. When she gets to that street point at the corner of that road, she's now watching a child who's 19 years old. Only son, only child that womb bared after so many miscarriages. But to watch a child, my son couldn't save this child's life. While my son is standing there, watching this child die and saying, God, please help save this child. Please, God, help save my friend, Lord. Please. The Holy Spirit said, Mikhail, he didn't choose to connect to me, Mikhail. He heard you tell him about Jesus. He knew Jesus because he came out of a family who knew Jesus. But he chose not to. He said, no, Mikhail, don't worry. I'll come and don't worry. He was going into the youth and rapping for the youth on Friday night. But he still never made Jesus his personal Savior. He never gave the heart that Abba Father gave to him to give back to the Father. See, this heart is not yours today. Your breath is not yours. You're only alive because Abba woke you up this morning. You're so ungrateful. You can't give the beholder of your breath thanksgiving this morning. You walk into the church and you give him thanksgiving like it's change. You don't know how to throw. You don't know how to wave your flags and dance because you're alive this morning. Could have been dead in a river. Someone could have run you out of the road. You could have gone over the bridge. And imagine if you can't swim like my husband. Don't worry, he knows I'm the water, he knows I'm the water. But imagine now you can't swim. Someone instigated your murder. There's an instigator sitting at the table. The guy who instigated the death of that child knew that child, and he was a young man who grew up in a Christian home. Instigated the death. You want to fight? What are you fighting for? You want to cause conflict? For what? Because someone offended you? You mean you had a place of ignorance that you are so prepared to take a life that belongs to Abba Father? You're a murderer because you sowed it in your heart first before you can apply it. Yeah. What have you sowed in your heart this morning? And why my son is trying to help while the mother is screaming? Because she can't save her child. The God says, Mommy, the rib cage is open, Mommy. Mommy, I saw the heart beating, and it was beating just for that little while until it went dead. With a dead end. Why are you sowing daggers into your own heart this morning that is causing you medical conditions? Why are you instigating with your choices this morning? You see, there could be an instigator, but you have a choice. That man had a choice whether to pick up the dagger and stab the child, or to say, you know what, hey, leave, give the brown break, you know, it's fine. He didn't mean anything, he's rapping. You're man enough if you walk away. The instigator started instigating while there is an uncle, their own uncle, and his mother is there laying over. They try to call the ambulance. My son's phone, it falls, breaks into pieces. He can't call the ambulance. They don't know what to do because nobody is coming out to help. No one is, the mother don't know where to leave the child. The child doesn't want to let go of the mother. But the same child never listened to the same mother. When she said to him that morning, it's so early for your son to go out. And it's so early in the morning. By 10 o'clock D's in the morning, 10 a.m. in the morning, his child's life. Early in the morning, instead of joy coming in the morning, a mother had to see, father is this big macho man. Came out of the police force, works in ranking as a security officer. Could not save his child's life. Stood by, watched his child die in his hand in the hospital because the hospital kept him in a waiting number. I believe the child was dead already. The instigator is instigating. Take Mikhail out. But when I wake up in the morning, the first thing my husband and I do is we on our knees at the table of the Lord. First is not him, it's Abba. First is we take the anointing oils. My mom is a very saint. Mikhail and Michaela know they're not allowed to leave the house if don't take communion and anoint themselves. They have to anoint themselves. Even my dog is anointed. My puppy waits for the anointing oils, and his father has to anoint him. He's so used to the anointing oil that he comes like this, and he will never, I can blow that shofar 50, 100 times, he'll never move, not even a bit. He'll sit there and he will look at us with God. He'll be reverenced before God. A little puppy. He's big now. He's about so high. Very big now. Can't carry him anymore. And if you only, there's an instigator instigating, take out Mikhail, kill him. So the one who's the instigator says, hey, don't touch him. Do you know who he is? Not because his mother was a gangster. Not because his mother hit the whole of the flats, stabbed a lady and was charged for attempted murder, and I hit whoever because of anger issues. So I was sitting at the table with the devil. They didn't recognize Mikhail because of a mother that was in the past. See, that mother died. That mother decided to ask Holy Spirit to kill every contamination that she set at the table of the devil and ate with the devil. No Jesus. The boy that's the instigator said, don't touch. Do you know who he is? He said, don't touch Thompsons. You don't know who's the Thompsons. But it's not like we're gangsters. We don't very well know. I know our Thompson chain is known. The surname is there. There could be an inheritance there. You know Poloni, Vienna, no? Thompson's, Poloni. No, I don't go and buy Thompson's Poloni. So he said, don't touch him. Do you know who he is? That's the Thompsons. They recognized his granny because she was a prayer warrior. Watch the mother, the line of what my mother had sown into me. Watch. I gave my mother bloody hard time. My mother to run. Hey, I made my mother cry. All she wanted to sow was Jesus into my heart. She wanted me to recognize, Pam, I can't love you like this bridegroom. Pam, I can never give you the motherly love. I can never give you the fatherly love that this bridegroom can. See, he's this pressed down, shaking together, running over. He's unconditional love. His love comes with no boundaries. They walked away because they recognized the granny and the prayer mother. Double. Do you think today, when we fight you, parents are going to tell you today, officially stop fighting and arguing with your children. Let them go. Forgive them, release them this morning. Mark 11, if you do not forgive, I cannot forgive you. Release them this morning because why? They want to choose to sit in the morgue, let them die. Harsh words, huh? You know why? You see my mother, when she released me, Pam went, took cocaine, and suddenly was dead. In a body bag. Cool, huh? Anyone knows what's a body? Anyone knows what a morgue looks like? 37 minutes dead. Paramedics. Paramedics called it dead. 37 minutes on a cocaine overdose. Toe tagged. I wasn't compared. The body. For my mother to come to identify. Come and identify this body. Where do you think my mother was? My mother was in a Pentecostal church in an open air preaching in a ladies' meeting. When the call came to her, you need to come to identify your daughter's body because she died. So my mother said on the phone to the man that called my mother, said, at 5 years old this child had a prophecy. At 5 years old, the Lord said to me that God will raise her up as a mighty prophetic voice to the nations. My mother said she will live. And today, as a mother, I speak that she will live and not die. She will fulfill the purposes because God spoke it to me. Suddenly, there was a shaking and a shifting in the covered, sealed, ice cold for foil, little zip foil. Ready to put down in the ice. Ready in the foil. And I wasn't being baked like a hen or a chicken. No. Getting ready to be put in ice. My mother said, she is a prophet. She's not dead. My mother said, oh no, don't take the body to the morgue. In the morgue van. Ready to be put in the morgue. And there was a shaking and shifting in the foil, and young today, 46 years old. Won't compromise. If you think that I'm one pastor, or these pastors are going to compromise and play Russian roulette with your souls, then you got the wrong people. If you think we're going to say, come, why you can't breathe? What's the condition of your heart? Why you got shoulder spasms? Come and tell you why. If I have to tell you that your blood is 99.9% water, will you believe me? What Jesus said to the woman at the well? The water I'll give you, thirst no more. What Jesus says in Revelation 3, I will spit you out. What is in your tongue? Saliva. Saliva is what? To digest what? Food. What he said, out of the belly will flow rivers of living water. When your tongue tastes alcohol, what is flowing out of your belly? Because the tongue, the saliva in the tongue, took that alcohol and he broke it down and digested it into the womb, into your belly. Are you awake till I tell you about the tongue? 12% of people, scientifically, biologically speaking, say I am intelligent. And who would say that in Mama Chikia, a straight pass because I was in court charged for attempted murder? Can you do this? Yes, I believe you. See, Jesus believed in me. He took a nobody. It was just a nobody. And he began to instill himself, which is somebody, in the nobody, to reflect the somebody called Yeshua Mashiach. I'm a nobody. But I came to tell you that you too can have the somebody. And when this somebody gets a hold of you, because you have given him access, full access, you take it away. Take me that demon that one day. Now this, the one you're putting it on. Yes, that's right. 12% of people who kiss more than 10 minutes. Let's see what happens with the saliva. There's an exchange of saliva. Same person don't want to come and use the toilet in a poor people's house because that person, oh, you're so dirty. But same mouth was kissing another mouth. And do you know scientifically, the most amount of bacteria is transported through the saliva. I said, well, I kiss my husband. So last year was one day, hey, what are you doing now? I'm like sleeping next year. I was like, oh, I did it. I said, hey, then I said, no, don't worry, it's not you. It's all the other guys I kissed. I was like spiritually taking it out, you know? Yeah, I had boyfriends. You know, I was going home, married 22 years. In fact, I didn't like him. I didn't like anything about him. Today I love him. First thing I did was tell him everything about me. He still stood. It was the Lord who sent him to me. Jesus was in him. I always asked Abba for a king. I never knew one day. Beaten, dated a guy that was on drugs, that was in the army, that at the age of 16, beat me so badly, hit me, choked me, and left me to die and choke on my own blood. There are much more sheep in me. I said, oh, you God, kill me now. Kill me now. And I laid in a psychiatric ward. Why you did this, God? If you love me, why you allowed this? God said, you're a fool. You finish, wake up. You're still dreaming. You did it yourself. You sowed it. You made the decision to date the guy. Yet I told you, I sent people to tell you that he's not the right guy for you. I sent people to tell you that's not the right woman for you. You're sitting in the house of God, and because your mind is made up, Your choice is finished, made up. You will date that individual. You will go sleep in fornication. You will go commit adultery. Because your mind is made up. I'm the boss here. Me, I'm the chief Lord. I got to leave a legacy for my children. If you as my father, kick you out of my life. Because I don't want that filthy legacy. But you want a legacy. Would you want a father who is sleeping around with other women and making your mother's heart cry? Where in the Bible that God teaches you the church has taught doctrine in error for us to cry and watch our husbands and our wives sleep around and then we must go sleep with them? Where is God in this? When he says sex is holy, please tell me, where is God in this? Then take out this entire table. It does not exist. When he says I am righteous, I'm holy. Our God is not double-minded. I speak in authority because I am God on my own. I'm Elohim. So, who's your daddy? Who is your daddy this morning? If Jesus is your daddy, why do you commit adultery? If Jesus is your daddy, why do you instigate strife and anger and sexual immorality? Why are you filled with lies? Why are you gossiping? If Jesus is your daddy, why are you cutting your brother and your sister to pieces? Why are you breaking their hearts and causing instigation of contamination in the hearts of the people you say you love? Does Jesus not love those individuals? Who's daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Because you see, he did not give you this. He did not give you this. When he said, let us make man in our image, it was never this identity. He gave you this identity. He gave you this identity. I know who I am. I know who I am. I don't care what you say. My Bible says I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. My Bible says I'm the head and not the tail. My Bible says, what? Let me tell you, anyone who confesses that this is your daddy, you will never allow a contaminated word to come out of your mouth. Yes. Cut anyone short. I'm sorry. Where we high priest will come. In number 6, we will declare the blessings of number 6. But do you know when I declare that